Story opens with two men, Evans and Hooker, paddling their canoe towards a mysterious island. The bay stretches before them with a gap in the white surf marking where a river meets the sea. The lush, untouched forest looms close to the beach and distant mountains rise like frozen waves. The atmosphere is tense and sweltering, the sky blazing overhead. Both men are exhausted, their lips dry from thirst and anticipation. They are searching for a hidden treasure, guided by a worn, hand-drawn map. The sense of adventure is palpable, but so is the underlying anxiety about what awaits them on this remote shore. Uday found it with Sophic. Evans and Hooker examine a fragile yellowed map, its lines and markings barely visible after years of folding and use. The map shows the outline of the bay, the river, and a star marking the treasure's location. There are also strange dotted lines and cryptic Chinese writing, hinting at secrets and dangers. The men discuss the map in hushed tones, trying to decipher its meaning. The mention of Chinese characters reminds them of the treasure's origins and the mysterious Chinaman who once possessed it. The tension builds as they realize the importance and the risks of their quest. As the sun climbs higher, Evans and Hooker feel the effects of their long, sleepless journey. The excitement of the treasure hunt is dulled by exhaustion and thirst. Evans tries to focus on the promise of gold, but his mind drifts to thoughts of fresh water. The rhythmic sound of the sea and the heat of the day make him drowsy. He begins to doze, his dreams blending with memories of how they learned about the treasure. The struggle for the map and the perilous night voyage have left both men physically and mentally drained, setting a somber tone for their adventure. Evans drifts into a troubled sleep, reliving the night when he and Hooker first uncovered the secret of the treasure. In his dream, he sees the Chinaman by fire, speaking in broken English about a Spanish galleon, shipwreck, and hidden gold. The story unfolds with intrigue and danger as Shanghai, a cunning Chinaman, discovers and reburies the treasure. Evans's dream becomes a nightmare, haunted by Shanghai's menacing grin and the promise of both riches and peril. The dream foreshadows the dangers that lie ahead, blending greed, betrayal, and supernatural dread. Evans is jolted awake by Hooker as their canoe enters the mouth of the lagoon. The landscape is now clearer. 3 palm trees and a clump of bushes mark their destination. The sight of fresh water revives Evans, who is desperate to quench his thirst. The men's urgency grows as they realize how close they are to their goal. They paddle quickly to the river mouth, eager to drink and continue their search. The oppressive heat and their exhaustion are momentarily forgotten as hope returns. The adventure is back on track, but the tension remains ever present. The river's edge, Evans and Hooker finally find relief. They drink eagerly, first with their hands, then directly from the stream. The water is a welcome respite after their ordeal, but their impatience shows they're too eager to move on. The men's desperation highlights their vulnerability in this harsh environment. After drinking, they prepare to land and push through the dense jungle to reach the spot marked on their map. The sense of urgency is palpable, as is the underlying fear that something could still go wrong. Evans and Hooker push their way through thick reeds and tangled undergrowth, following the line from the bushes to the river as indicated on their map. The sunlight fades as they move deeper into the forest, replaced by cool shadows and towering trees. The jungle is alive with strange plants, hanging creepers, and blotched fungi. The oppressive heat gives way to chill, and Evans shivers, feeling the eerie atmosphere. The men worry about losing their way but press on, determined to find the treasure. The deeper they go, the more the forest seems to close in around them. Finally, the men reach the river again, surrounded by thick vegetation and exotic flowers. The water is calm, with large leaves and waxy flowers floating on its surface. Evans and Hooker realize they have veered slightly off course but are close to their goal. They recall the map's mention of a heap of stones and begin searching along the riverbank. The atmosphere is tense, every sound amplified by their anticipation. Suddenly, Evans spots something unusual, a flash of blue among the trees. The moment is charged with both hope and dread. Approaching the blue object, the men discover the body of a Chinaman lying face down in a clearing. The scene is grim and unsettling. A spade lies nearby and a heap of stones marks a freshly dug hole. The dead man's neck is swollen and purple, his hands and ankles puffed. The sight shakes both Evans and Hooker, who realize someone else reached the treasure first but met a tragic end. The presence of death casts a shadow over their quest, raising questions about the dangers that still lurk in the forest. Despite the ominous discovery, Evans and Hooker press on. In the hole beside the dead Chinaman, they find dull yellow bars, gold ingots, just as the legend promised. Evans eagerly clears the soil and lifts one of the heavy bars, feeling a sharp prick from a tiny thorn. The men are elated, their exhaustion momentarily forgotten in the thrill of discovery. Yet Hooker remains uneasy, glancing back at the corpse and the strange marks on the map. The gold is real, but so is the danger. The forest seems to hold its breath as they decide what to do next. As Evans gathers the gold, he's pricked again by another thorn. Hooker, still disturbed by the dead Chinaman, insists on burying the body before moving the treasure. Evans, impatient and irritable, dismisses his fears. The men argue about what to do with the gold, whether to rebury it or take it to the canoe. The tension between them grows, fueled by exhaustion, greed, and fear. The forest feels increasingly oppressive, and both men sense that something is terribly wrong. The tiny thorns, seemingly insignificant, hint at a hidden and deadly threat. As they attempt to carry the gold, Evans suddenly feels weak and short of breath. He collapses, clutching his throat, and warns Hooker not to come near. Hooker, trying to help, also feels a prick from a thorn. He realizes with growing horror that the thorns are poison, just like those used by the Dayaks in their blowpipes. The cryptic marks on the map now make sense. Shanghai had booby-trapped the treasure. The realization comes too late. Evans is already dying, and Hooker's fate is sealed. The treasure's deadly secret has claimed new victims. Hooker desperately tries to suck the poison from his thumb, but the pain spreads quickly through his body. His arms and shoulders ache, his fingers stiffen, and he knows there is no hope. He sits beside the pile of gold, watching Evans's body convulse in its final moments. The forest is silent save for the faint rustle of leaves above. Hooker is left alone with the realization of Shanghai's cunning and the futility of their greed. The treasure, so close and yet so deadly, has become their doom. As the poison takes hold, Hooker's mind returns to Shanghai's enigmatic grin. He finally understands the meaning behind the Chinaman's confidence in the treasure's safety. The booby-trapped gold was never meant to be claimed by outsiders. The story comes full circle, with the treasure remaining hidden and protected by a deadly secret. The forest, indifferent to human ambition, reclaims its silence. The white petals of unknown flowers drift down, marking the end of the ill-fated quest. The final moments, the forest stands silent and unchanging. The treasure remains untouched, guarded by the bodies of those who sought it. The story ends with a sense of inevitability. Greed and ambition have led only to tragedy. The jungle, with its secrets and dangers, endures. The tale of Evans, Hooker, and the cursed gold becomes just another lost story in the heart of the wild. The forest reclaims all, and the deadly treasure waits for the next unwary adventure.